Too, like
thriving.
Oh, thriving, not just surviving, but.
4 days. We have to answer that question in 4 days.
Oh my goodness. All right. And so what's the answer? You should have at least half an answer then, right?
We definitely need to keep using the idea of sustainability and regeneration on farms and in forests.
Surviving and thriving, I think something that you need to know about like surviving and thriving is that it's like two different things. It's like you can be surviving but you cannot be happy, and then like thriving is like you're pretty happy with what you're doing and you're like able to like live off. And so we learned like a lot about the different farms and how like upscaling, like if they upscaled, like Second Wind Farm, which is something that we learned on Monday, if they had upscaled, then they might have just been barely surviving and not been able to pay a lot. So I feel like that they would have just been surviving instead of really thriving. And so I think like some things that you need to know is like just how really hard that the work is, like that people put in, like the amount of work that they put in, if that makes sense.
So first we talked about food systems and how they work, like the process of how we get food from like gardens to like consumers. And after that we went to Second Wind Farm, which is a local farm, and we just learned about how they are growing, and we learned a lot about how they are scaling up or trying to scale up, and the effort it takes, because if you become larger you have to have more workers and you have to make enough money to pay for those workers.
So what we did on Tuesday was we traveled about an hour out of town to Wells River to one of the largest saffron farms in North America, and it's about only a half an acre currently that they have planted, but they were expanding while we were there, so they were pulling rocks out and they were expanding. So this fall they will have over 500,000 plants that they will be harvesting, hand picking, and making saffron out of, picking the stigmas out of.
That in and of itself is a full-time job, like keeping the farmers market stuff stocked up. We do value-added products, so we infuse honey with saffron, we do a saffron simple syrup, and we do 2 grades of saffron maple syrup and a saffron tincture for people that just want the medicinal values of the saffron.
And then we traveled back to Kiss the Cow Farm in Barnard, which was, we learned about like dairy and how cows are affecting the climate and some solutions on how to work through that. And the cows are really nice to us, and we got to eat some ice cream and just learn a lot about their farm.
So in the morning we went to Mount Tom and we did some of the Prosper Trails, and we walked a little bit, and we learned a lot about the different trees and how to like distinguish between them, and some of the forestry on the mountain, on Mount Tom. It was super interesting. Sometimes we went like kind of off the trail and saw some cool sites where they did some logging and learned a lot about stuff like that.
Yeah, and you touch
So
it. And
everyone really make sure we're gonna wash your hands
Yeah.
before you eat, okay?
That is so cool.
Like this part's like turning blue.
It turns blue if you touch it, if it's exposed.
That is
And
so
it's turning
cool.
blue.